there we go. Because that's kind of a nice lead-in to what we're doing here today. And I spent so many years totally cut off from my body that I didn't even realize I was getting the major knot in my shoulder or the the TMJ in my jaw. Like, so even having that realization, you are, light years ahead of where I was at one point. So I am so glad that you guys are here today and that it's a small group, because then I don't have to be nervous either. As I was writing this class, I have to tell you, it was, I go through this like process when I'm writing something new. At first I'm like, oh, and then I was like, oh, I have to nourish my nervous system to write this class. I cannot write this class from another place. I just was stuck and I never, and so I went on a hike yesterday with a friend of mine who's a coach, and I talked out all the things that I wanted to talk about. I was like, I want to do it in nature because that's going to nurture my nervous system. And that's the place from which this material, I mean, it was material I knew, but that it came into the shape of what you're going to experience today. So I really have to say, I'm so excited that you chose to take time out of your day, your work day, your vacation, wherever you are, to be here and choosing yourself, right? Really, this is about choosing yourself today. So since everybody is familiar with me, I'm not going to do the whole, I'm an acupuncturist and a life coach. We all know who I am, and I know who you are. So this feels really familiar. And so I'll just briefly talk about what we're going to do today. What's the purpose? Well, we came to find out some tools to nurture our nervous systems, or sometimes I'll say nourish our nervous systems, both. And why do we want to do that? So that we can stay peaceful and calm and effective and inspired and alive as we move through life. When life has ups and downs and stressful moments and hard moments, that want to blow us off our base, learning these tools can really help us root down like a tree, right? So that we can have a strong base and a rooted system, so that life's earthquakes and hurricanes and tsunamis, as they are, and work and life and relationships and health, don't blow us down. So how's it going to go today? I'm going to do a little bit of teaching, a little bit of storytelling, but mostly we're going to do some experiential exercises so that you can actually feel what a nourished nervous system feels like and notice your patterns. And you're going to do some journaling. I hope everybody has something to write with. And so you're going to experience it in your body. And that's all I'm going to tell you for now. Why are we doing this work? Well, life is fucking nuts. Excuse my French. Life is so hard sometimes, right? It's literally, sometimes I think the world is on fire. We have wars in the Middle East. We have a presidential election with a felon and a rapist. We have women's reproductive rights are on the chopping block. I mean, everything in the news is literally dysregulating. I mean, news period is just regulating. I don't care if it's about the carjacking in Oakland down the block, or if it's about, a felon that's going to maybe get elected president. News of the world that we cannot escape. But literally, unless we go on retreat and put down our phones and consciously say, I'm not doing this, it's there. It's even there, you guys, and I know you know this, in the things that we think we're doing to relax ourselves. So sometimes at night, I will look at Instagram because I want to look at some pictures and look at some funny memes. Rochelle and I share memes, and I want to like relax myself. But then there's all this, and I'm like, it's everywhere. We really can't escape it. So why do we need this? The world is on fire. And then as we come even closer to home, right, we have things like our jobs insecurity. Are we going to get laid off? Or am I, do I have financial insecurity? Is my career changing? Is it growing? Is it shrinking? What's happening in my career? Our kids are struggling, school and friendships and anxiety and mental health things, even our adult relationships, divorces and breakups and separations and health scares, right? Our own personal health scares, friends of ours having health scares. We have aging parents. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. I think you get it. I was like, this is an easy part to write. And the way I want to sum up that portion is humaning is hard. It's just hard being a human in the world right now. And especially, and I think this about the three of you, and as I do for myself, especially if you're an empathic human being, one that senses and feels deeply your own truth, your own suffering, but also those of others. So as an empath myself, I feel these things really intensely. And so early in my life, I came into the world like this, right? I was born with a nervous system that was probably highly sensitive. And then I had a mother who didn't have the capacity, the emotional capacity to hold my experience when I had my experiences. And so what I learned very early on was it's better to not feel my experiences. It is safer, it is cleaner. I will stay more connected with my mother if I just don't feel my experiences, put a big smile on, and do the things I know that keep me safe. And so I did all the right things in life. That was, it was what's the word? That was adaptive, right? It was like it was healthy for me to create that adaptation to a sensitive nervous system. But that doesn't so then I was able to like go to good schools, get good grades, get good jobs, do the rat race and without much suffering, because I didn't feel what was happening down here. But it left me deeply unfulfilled and deeply unsatisfied with life. So then my healing process, which is part of what I'm gonna share with you today, has been how do I reincorporate feeling what's actually happening in my body? Instead of thinking of it as a scary place that has to be sort of shut off in a box, the joy of life comes from actually feeling everything that you're experiencing. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard, but the experience, the full tapestry of life can only be enjoyed if you actually feel what's happening in your body. So that's been my healing journey. And as I have learned to feel what I'm feeling, feel my feelings, express them, set boundaries, I've been able to choose myself and choose to create a life that works for me, which is maybe different than what maybe my mom and dad or my society or culture wanted for me. And that's hard. That's been really hard, but it's also been the path towards the most joy possible. So these skills that you're going to learn today are going to help you do that. I know some of you already do that to different capacities. These hopefully will be some new awarenesses and new insights that will help you as you continue on your own healing journey. And then at the very end, I'm going to tell you about a group program I have starting in 2 weeks. That would be great. Where we'll do similar stuff to what we're doing today. So you're going to leave today. What's the outcome? You're going to leave with an experience of having a nourished nervous system, and you're going to be able to sense what's possible for you. More joy, more freedom, more ease, more peace when you walk through life from that place, when you create from that place. So the truth is, I was going to do this workshop in early February. I sent it out to my list. You may or may not have seen it because I only sent it out once. I even got my first registration. And then I was excited about it. Like I wanted to do it. This was me creating my life. I love teaching. I love these workshops. I love doing my Choosing You group, which was going to launch right after that. But every time I sat down to write the content for it, I couldn't do it. I was frozen. I'd go look at my phone. I would go to the refrigerator. I would go do whatever else, but I couldn't start. And what I realized through that process was my nervous system wasn't regulated enough to do this. And the reason it wasn't regulated enough, some of you may know this, Rochelle knows this, I'm in a horrible, monstrous legal custody battle with my daughter's father. And right after I announced the workshop for early February, I got served with papers where he wants me to pay him child support. So I got into this, I was like, literally like, oh my God, can I do this legal thing, give him all the things that I need and go to court and blah, 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 and create what I want in my life? And the answer was no. At that moment, I couldn't. I kept trying. I was working with my coach. I was like, now I'm going to do it on April 1st. Now I'm going to do it on March 1st. Now I'm going to do it I just couldn't do it. And what I realized through that process was you can't reach for something new in life, even if it's something you really want, even if it's something you really know is going to bring you joy or growth or expansion. You can't reach for that from a dysregulated place. So regulating ourselves is not just good for the present moment, right? It feels good in the present moment, but it opens up the capacity of your life to create and build what you really want, right? So many people, most people in life, change is hard, right? That's a phrase we all know. Change is hard. And change is hard because our nervous systems like this equilibrium. Even if the equilibrium is below or different or off what we actually want, you have to kind of force against the status quo, because your inner critic comes up and all the things that come up, and we'll talk about it. So what I realized was and it's part of my work, I had to get to a place where I could stabilize my nervous system to create something new. Okay. So I did this from a regulated nervous system. So I'm going to start with a couple of questions. Well, first, I just want to start by celebrating that I know all of you already have some tools that you use to regulate your nervous system. You wouldn't be here if you didn't already know some things, right? I go to acupuncture, I take baths, right? So I want to celebrate that you know those things, and I want to have you have a little conscious awareness of it. Well, actually, first, on a scale of 1 to 10, how nourished would you say your nervous system is right now? Just close your eyes and sense into it. And I know we had work earlier today and we've got other things going on and Julie's on vacation, but how nourished is your nervous system right now? Go ahead and write down the number. And it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Just a little check-in. Now, what do you already do to nourish your nervous system? Maybe you do some things daily, weekly, monthly, annually. Maybe you go on a retreat once a year or go on a big trip where you get relaxed.
A notebook. I'll be right back.
Oh, get your notebook. Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe you get acupuncture twice a month or take a bath once a week, go on hikes every other day, journal every day, write down what you do to regulate your nervous system. Okay, do you feel like you had enough time? Now, I would have said, and my notes say, put it in the chat, but since we're a small group, and if you're comfortable, you don't have to, but if you're comfortable sharing a few of your things, I know I always learn from what other people do. So we could just go around sharing your top, you don't have to share the whole list, but a couple things that you think are really important for how you regulate your nervous system. Just go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll start. I do want to mention cat snuggles. There's just like having a purring, warm kitty snuggling with you is just drops me right into it. I do like hikes and baths and I mean, I don't know how many you want to hear right now.
You know, as you know, a few that you feel are important to you.
I think the body stuff, you know, whether it's taking a bath or walking or doing some singing or something, I think if I can kind of change something physical, it kind of helps to remind me or to tune in a different way. So I'm not just like marinating in it.
Yeah, oh, that's great. I'm glad you mentioned singing. I sometimes forget singing because I'm a horrible singer, but singing is so good. And we're going to talk more about this later because it actually changes the physical vibration in your body, right? When you are like there's vagus nerves, the vagus nerve runs through your torso. And so when you're vibrating your voice and your voice box, it's actually calming the vagus nerve. So I love that singing and pet snuggles. Oh my God, right? Your dog, your cat, all the, I love that. Thank you, Rochelle.
Yeah, I definitely had just snuggling with my dog or laying on the couch with her. So sometimes I'll stop in the middle of work and I'm like, okay, we're just gonna go lay on the couch for a little bit and just hang out with her.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So that, and then also that I've been trying to, a coworker of mine does a bath before bed every single night. She's done it like her whole life. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I was so inspired by that. And I've been trying to do more of that, like with Epsom salt and bath and read and then read before bed. So like that nighttime routine, I think has helped because then I get a good night's sleep and then that helps the next day. Another new thing I've been doing, which I didn't even write down, but I just thought of, is every morning I go outside and walk for 10 minutes to like set my day. And what I find is like just stepping outside and feeling like the air and the sun or the wind or whatever is happening. But then also it like, I don't listen to anything. I just walk for, I literally just do this 10-minute loop. And my mind, like just kind of this like unwinds or something. Like it just, I don't, it really just is awesome. It's kind of like a walking meditation. So that's been super helpful for me too. And I just say like changing scenery. Like if I've been in my office for too long and I'm like, I just need to let's switch this up, like go outside or sit downstairs or, just change my space and
Move,
energy.
right?
Yeah.
Move your body. Oh my God, I
Yeah.
love that. I
Yeah.
love your morning ritual and your
Yeah.
bedtime ritual. And you just said something so important, which is the things you can do right before bed then influence your sleep, which influences the next day. That is so under emphasized, I think, that like how we go to sleep impacts the next day. And then you get up and do your walk. Oh my God, I kind of want your life. That's beautiful.
Try it.
Yeah,
I've
I'm
been
going
loving
to.
it.
I'm
I've
taking
been
notes
loving
for
it.
real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have this all dialed down.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rochelle. Julia, do you have any?
I
Anything?
do. I have, I mean, the ones you guys said just really sound all great and really resonate. Running. So I put running with a group, running with my one of my best friends, running by myself, any kind of running just somehow relaxes me. Journaling is a big one for me. And then reading is also actually like just spending any kind of time alone is usually really restorative for me. So reading would be one of the things I would do when I'm alone. But yeah, those are kind of the main ones. There were lots of others though, like good coffee and stuff. So yeah.
Okay, good. I love that. Running is like super active. It changes, it moves the energy, it changes the vibration of whatever's been happening in your body. And then being alone, right? For empaths and those of us who are sensitive, being alone, which is part of what is going to perfect lead into what we're going to do next, can really regulate your nervous system because you can go inside and tend to the parts of you that need attention. That's beautiful. I love that list, you guys. Okay, so then next question in the journal, and it'll vary, so you can sort of, answer it for each one or in general. How long does the relaxation last after these activities? How quickly does the regulated feeling dissipate when you go back to your normal life? Okay, last question for now. It's a little less fun. What are the things that jack up or light up your nervous system? What puts you on high alert? What are the things in your life that cause you the most stress right now? You don't need to go into a lot of detail, but make a list. For me, it's my monster, an email from that, reading about Trump's campaign, running late and being in traffic. What are the things? Doing my taxes that put you on high alert, that take you away from this regulated place that we just talked about. Enough time. Does anybody want to share any of these? Again, no pressure. But sometimes speaking them into the space helps everyone else understand that we're not alone.
I'll go first again. I really surprised myself. It was really cool to just write stuff out. I guess I find reasons to like not journal as much because I'm like, oh, I think I resolved it. I had enough spinning in my own head. But getting to just write unprocessed thoughts, the things that kind of keep me up at night, that if I just had kind of talked to myself and written down, it just wouldn't be unprocessed. So that was surprising and helpful.
Yeah.
Just go, oh, I should journal more. It's like, oh, that might actually help.
Regulate your nervous system, right? Because and this is where we're going to talk a little bit more about this too. Our thoughts are part of what dysregulates our nervous system. Just having our thoughts are all usually future, worry, anxiety, fear, stress, or past, regret, shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? And that's what lives in our head. But in the present moment, when we shift from outer focus to inner focus into the present moment, that in and of itself is regulating. And when you're journaling about your thoughts, you're coming into the present moment with them. And that can be, well, first of all, it can give you a lot of insight, but it also can be regulating. Beautiful awareness.
I had a similar thought on journaling. It's so funny because I'm actually using this book that I had good intention to journal for a while and that was February 2nd. Now I'm like, March. I did one in March. That's good. Okay, anyway, so, but the things that you are my triggering things right now, it's definitely a lot work related. Like I'll get a Teams notification from my boss. It just says hi. Whenever I get one of those, I'm like, okay, hi, oh, what's coming next?
Right.
She does. It's very
I
funny.
hate those.
I know, right? It's like, just tell me right away. Or like, just when I'm trying to figure things out and and I feel the pressure of like needing to like feeling like I need to know the answers, or I need to like be solving these issues for people, or just all that stuff about like, oh, I'm a high achiever. Like I need to figure this out. Like I need to have it right. What's the right thing to do? How do I, like that kind of stuff.
High achiever, perfectionist,
Yeah.
people pleaser,
People pleaser. Yeah, that's really
doer.
hard with like I'm managing people. The people pleaser part's really hard because I'm having, that whole like it's stressful when I'm having to either give feedback or like, I don't know, it's hard. Or like they might not like what I have to say.
Right.
So those are stressful things. And then, yeah, and just keeping everything organized, just keeping it all, it just feels very little,
Yeah.
so stressful to like just keep it
Yeah.
together.
All of that is so good. And it's all this outward focus, right? It's all when we're outward focused, it's elevating for your nervous system, right?
Yeah. I mean, I keep doing this, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's elevating. I'm taking care of everybody else. I want it to be perfect. I want it to be good enough. I want to,
Yeah.
do my job. I want it to, it's all this out there. How can I make everybody out there really happy with me? And then that will calm me down, right? So just
Right.
note that outward versus inward
Yeah.
focus.
Yeah.
Great examples. Julia?
Well, the first thing that came to mind was my family. I was home for Passover and boy, is it hard. I don't know what it is. I think it's partially people pleasing and feeling like, I don't know, there's all kinds of emotions that come up when you're with your family. So that definitely is a big trigger for my nervous system. Um, and then, the people pleasing as well is just generally a big one where I don't always know I'm doing it, and then I'll catch myself. And I think that's also why sometimes too much time with people is very taxing. Even though I'm sort of an extrovert, I just, if I spend too much time with people, I find myself like very depleted because I'm just giving too much. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you spoke to similar things as Rochelle, right? Your family, your work, right? This outward energy, this outward people pleasing
Mhm.
energy, and that's part of why, even as extroverts, because I am too, we do need to go back in and like come home and take care of ourselves. And as we learn more of these tools around regulating your nervous system, some of it is just about this outward focus versus this inward focus. So when we shift, so great work, everybody. When we shift from outer focus to inner focus, we become more present and self-aware. So we're going to do an exercise right now where you're going to experience this. So go ahead and feel your feet on the ground, and if you can, wherever you are. And if you're comfortable, close your eyes. I'm going to close mine. And take a few deep breaths and kind of lengthen and strengthen your spine. Maybe scrunch your shoulders up to your ears and then roll them down the back, open across your chest, soften the belly, tuck your chin a little bit, lengthening the back of your neck, feeling the crown of your head rise up to the sky. And as you breathe and get grounded, just turn your awareness inside your body. other than my voice, which is outside of your body. Let's have all of your awareness inside. First, just notice your breath. Where do you notice it? Where does it flow easily? Where does it maybe get stuck? As you breathe, see if you can notice any habitual patterns of holding any musculature in your body. For me, my shoulders, my neck and jaw and forehead tend to be clenched when I'm trying to relax. So just notice, no judgment, no trying to change anything right now, just noticing. Just noticing what you feel. There may be one thing in your body that brings your attention to it, and then another. Just let your awareness, your interoception kind of float around inside your body and see what you see. Be an explorer in your own body. And if your thoughts run away, as they probably will, they always do, just bringing it back, saying, what am I noticing right here? Inward focus, present moment awareness. And now just imagine if you can see, sense, or feel a gentle smile permeating through your body. Maybe starting in the back of your eyes, just this energy of openness and receptivity and willingness. That's kind of symbolized by this smile. Back of your eyes smiling, in the corners of your mouth, the back of your throat. Center of your chest, smiling. Behind your belly button, smiling. In the center of your pelvis, smiling. Taking a last breath here. Noticing if anything has shifted from when you first started looking inside. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And going to your journal and just answer the question, what did I notice? What did I see? And next question. What's alive for you right now? What feels alive in your body and in the present moment for you right now? Okay. I hope that felt good. Does anybody want to share, have a quick share before we're gonna have another exercise where we do more sharing, but just a quick, since it's such a small group, I want to hear from everybody. What's one thing that you noticed or feels alive for you? Just one thing that wants to get spoken into the space and witnessed.
Well, I'll just say it was interesting when moving through my body with like the smile behind things. It almost felt like I was picturing like a flower, like opening, like when I went there, it was like, oh, like into each spot. So it just, like, it felt like it was like, yeah, just make enlivening wherever I was, and that opening, yeah, I'll say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly right. The feeling of that smile permeating through your body is the energy of openness and receptivity. It's like, yes to this. Yeah, it wasn't like, yay, we're smiling. It's just like,
Yeah.
yes. It's just like a gentle yes. I can open to whatever is here. I love the image of a flower for that.
I wrote, yeah, I said even, and at the end, I even said, like my neck was just feeling tight, but I said, even though it's feeling tight, still feels tight. I wrote, it feels more receptive, which
Yeah,
for your neck to be receptive, but that was just what I wrote down. So,
you were feeling openness and
yeah,
receptivity through your body. Yeah,
yeah,
one meditation isn't gonna like, change
of
this,
course.
not.
And it
But
feels better, but I still notice it. Yeah,
right,
exactly.
right. And so what if we could be in that energy all the time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great, thanks for sharing, Sabaya.
I really noticed how much less resistance I have about things that I kind of like tasks, things I have to do. I realize how much I kind of like, oh no, even if I'm the one assigning it, it somehow becomes like more external, like, oh, well, I have to do this for some external reason. And after this meditation, I just kind of felt, or during it, like, oh, I could just do this task happily because I want to. It was like more clear that I wanted to do these things. It's why they were a task for me.
Ah, so you went from sort of resistance to allowing, right? Resistance for whatever reason, we come into resistance, even about things we want to do, but the energy is like, it's a closed energy versus like, oh, I could do this a different way. It's my choice in this moment. That's a great awareness. Julia, do you have something you want to share?
Yeah, I noticed just how much tension I'm carrying in my jaw and my shoulders, and that if I could just be more aware of that or check in a little bit more often during the day to release that tension, just what a big difference that would make, because it's just like it's always there.
Right, it's chronic and it's
Yeah.
subconscious, right? It's chronic and subconscious. So when we are outward focused, as we all are, like there's nothing wrong. That's just how the world is. We create patterns of dis-ease, of suffering in our body because we're looking out here all the time and checking in and having this kind of a space to do that. Making space for this in your life is really, really important. I'm glad you saw that. Okay, so we're gonna move as we were talking about inner gaze versus outer gaze and being versus doing. There's these dichotomies, right? We're always doing, right? Even some of the self-care things I noticed at the beginning are doing, right? We're doing things, we're doing. I'm taking a bath, I'm going on a hike, I'm going running, I'm even journaling is in some way a doing, right? Versus what we just did was a little bit more being. And also, I think what we experienced in that moment was a little bit of joy. That openness and receptivity is like, I can feel more joy while I'm doing this. So when we shift from doing into being, it allows us to be more present in the moment. And in the moment, that is the only place that joy and bliss lives, right? Because again, our thoughts are future, our worry, anxiety, fear, or regret, right? That's not where joy is. Joy is in the moment. And yet we often, tell me if this resonates with you. Have you ever done this? You plan to go skiing or to the beach and you get all your stuff ready and you're so excited. And then you get there and you're thinking about, oh my God, I got to beat traffic to get back. And what are we going to do for lunch? And blah, blah, blah. You're like thinking about something else. I got to get back because I got to do the laundry before we go to work, before school tomorrow or whatever. And it robs you of the joy of the present moment when we are lost in thoughts. Sometimes you finish a really fun activity or a really potentially joyful activity and you realize you missed it kind of when you aren't present enough, right? I know Sometimes we're really good at that. I was just at Rochelle's wedding recently, and I know she was very present in the moment and she experienced all the joy. She's actually very good at that. But often we do miss the real joy in a moment when we're in our thoughts about what isn't perfect, or what could go wrong, or what is going wrong, right? So we're going to do a little activity because I want you to feel this joy in your body. Bring to mind a time when you felt a lot of joy and you felt very alive in that joy in your body. So if you have to close your eyes to get to it, you can do that. Or if you know off the top of your head, actually close your eyes because I'm going to have you feel it in your body. So bring to mind, if you can think of one experience, it's easier. Just, I know there's probably more, but pick one. And breathe into your body as you imagine this time. See the details. Who was there? What was there? What were you wearing? Is it warm out? Is it cold? Really go into the details so you can bring back the feeling of the joy in your body. And now notice, where do you feel it in your body? Let yourself feel the joy in your body from this particular moment. And now you can leave that moment with your mind and ask yourself, what brings me joy? What makes me feel alive? It can be this moment, but other moments and other things. What makes me feel alive? Big or small? Let your imagination run wild. Whether or not they're possible or you think they're possible. And now ask yourself, what do I need in order to bring more joy or allow more joy into my life? What do I need to allow more joy into my life? And when you're ready, open your eyes. And I want you to just make a couple notes to yourself for the thing we're going to do next. So what brings you joy? Write a couple of things that came to you, especially anything that surprised you. And what do you need in order to bring more joy into your life? Okay. Now we're gonna do an activity, a dyad activity, where this is how it goes. We're gonna go into breakout rooms, and I'm gonna be in a breakout room, so everybody can be in twos. And it's gonna be 5 minutes, and I'll keep track of the time. And one person shares one thing. You can look at your list, but actually, I think it's almost more fun to just be in the present moment with it and see what comes out. And the first person says, blank brings me joy. Skiing brings me joy. And the other person says, witnesses that person, looks in the camera and looks at that person and says, thank you. And then they say, good coffee brings me joy. And the other person says, thank you. And you just go back and forth. And if you run out of things from your list, you just, what else brings me joy? Running with my dog brings me joy. You know, teaching these workshops brings me joy. And the other person listens and thanks. And then you just go back and forth. And then we're going to come back and talk about what happened. And if you run out of things that bring you joy, you can also say, this makes me feel alive. You can go back and forth between this makes me feel alive or this brings me joy, kind of same. Any questions? Okay. Zoom created the breakout room, so I'm going to open all the rooms and I will join, and I'll see you back here in 5 minutes. Enjoy.
Unmute.
Do you want me to pause and not record the breakout room, or are you okay with the breakout room being recorded?
I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna set the timer so I don't have to keep.
Okay. I like all our pink, by the way.
I know, so I
And I didn't do an exhaustive list. I feel like as you were saying things, I was thinking of so much more, but we'll just go.
You'll be in the moment with it. Be in the moment.
Okay.
Okay, go for it.
Nature brings me joy.
Friendship brings me joy.
We say thank you, or we?
Oh yeah, sorry. Thank you. I didn't follow my own rules. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Friendship brings me joy.
Music brings me joy.
Thank you. Seeing live music brings me joy.
Thank you. My little fluff ball dog brings me joy.
Thank you. Sushi brings me joy.
Thank you. Laughter brings me joy.
Thank you. Yay friends brings me joy.
Thank you. You bring me joy.
Thank you. Acupuncture brings me joy.
Thank you. Baths, Epsom salt, bring me joy.
Thank you. Good sex brings me joy.
Thank you. This wallpaper brings me joy.
Thank you. Fresh flowers bring me joy.
Thank you. Sitting in front of our house in the morning, drinking coffee with the sunshine brings me joy.
Thank you. Sitting in a hot tub brings me joy.
Thank you. Swimming brings me joy.
Thank you. Hiking in redwood brings me joy.
Thank you. Traveling brings me joy.
Thank you. Newness, adventure, big and small, learning something new brings me joy.
Thank you. Going to new restaurants brings me joy.
Thank you. Reading a good book brings me joy.
Thank you. Making popcorn and sitting on the couch, binging a show brings me joy.
Thank you. Cuddling with India on the couch watching a show brings me joy.
Thank you. Hearing David laugh brings me joy.
Thank you. Sunshine brings me joy.
Snow brings me joy.
Thank you. Snow and skiing brings me joy too. I'm gonna just ride on that one with you.
Thank you. Changing seasons brings me joy.
Mm. Letting go of clutter in my house brings me joy.
Talking to you on the phone while I declutter my room brings me joy.
Yes, I just need to look at the time. Okay, I'm gonna close the room. I know it will.
Okay.
Oh, can I close the room without, let's see.
Depends on the settings.
I think I can close it and not leave. Let's see, close all rooms. You'll close in 60 seconds. There we go.
Yeah,
Perfect. I wanted to not do that. And then,
I know.
teaching workshops like this brings me joy.
Taking time in the middle of my day to do this is bringing me joy. It brings me joy. I need to remember this.
Yeah, taking time for myself brings me joy.
Thank you. Meditation brings me joy.
Thank you. Yoga brings me joy.
Thank you. Stretching brings me joy.
Thank you. Being in my body brings me joy.
Thank you. Good night's sleep brings me joy.
So much that. And we're back.
I literally just said that off of mute or when I was on mute.
That's so funny. Okay, where am I? Okay. That was fun. I didn't plan on doing it because but then I get to do it and now I get to feel all this joy. That's the end of the thing. How do you feel? How does everyone feel after doing that? What did you notice? Oh, how was it for you? You can just share out loud.
My cheeks hurt from smiling in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, having somebody else say their joy over and over too, it's like, oh yeah, that. And like I just wanted to keep like repeating stuff Julia said, because I'm like, yes, that does.
Yeah, me
It's like
too.
collaborative joy.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes
Joy
you realize how many things are joyful.
Right. And joy brings more joy, right? Witnessing joy brings more joy, right? Julia, anything you noticed or surprising or patterns you noticed?
Yeah, I mean, there were things that I honestly wouldn't have thought of, and I don't even know if they would bring me joy, but I was kind of curious to like try. Like when you talked about like details in nature, I was like, oh, I don't know, like I should try looking at the tree and see if that does bring me joy. So it's kind of like nice to get that inspiration.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I noticed a lot of the things that we talked about back and forth were embodied things. Yoga brings me joy. Meditation brings me joy. Snuggling on the couch brings me joy. There was a lot of like present moment, nature, weather, sensual tastes. Sushi brings me joy. Good coffee, right? Laughter. It was just like all these amazing, not expensive things. That's the other thing. It wasn't like Tahiti always brings me joy. It was just like things that are right here, right here. That was really impressive to me. So, in your list of what would you need to bring more joy in, did anyone have anything they want to share there?
One of mine was just step outside. Just step outside.
Step outside. Beautiful. So true.
I also had, it's funny, in my joy, I wrote dancing. We didn't even talk about that in the joys, but that's something I don't really do in my life very much. But that's something I could do differently to experience joy in a different way, because it's just something that just doesn't happen as often, but
Yeah.
it's available.
It's available. It's available. It's funny that you say that. sometimes at the beginning of choosing you, and I have everybody do a little dance or whatever, you know, put on a
Yeah.
Taylor Swift song, and it moves things up, right? Like, I'm a horrible dancer, but I'll get up there and do this. And it really, I don't know, the Elaine dance. But yeah, moving things through. Anyone else have anything that you would need to bring in more joy?
I wrote down like time to journal, time to reflect, time for insight. It's like I have a hard time seeing the things that bring me joy until I like just slow down a little bit. So I need to make time to do that.
Be more present with that. Great.
Julia, can I ask you where you are?
Oh, yep. I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm like loving the palm trees.
Yeah, it looks very tropical.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Oh,
just got here. So
lovely.
it is nice. Yeah.
Lovely.
Sabaya, do you have anything you would need to bring in more joy?
Yeah, to give myself more permission, or to kind of not assign, but let myself know that I have the option of doing more things on my own. Like, I'm a very independent person, but I'm also kind of a, you know, object in motion stays in motion, object in rest stays at rest. So I don't often go out and do all this stuff like in my town or in the area unless some friend wants to do it with me. And I don't even need that. Like, I could be, you know, right now there's like this tulip festival, there's like this lilac thing going on, and I'm like, I don't need to wait for someone to do that. And we keep talking about like making space for it and getting to just kind of listen to ourselves. And that's something I could do.
Yeah. And you might even, I don't know, enjoy it more if you go alone than if you go with someone else. Just sometimes that's actually the case. We don't do it because we're not doing it with someone, but if I went and actually did it on my own, I might enjoy it more. I don't know, play with that. I wrote down what I need to bring more joy. Mine were more like, I need to be less afraid. I need to accept the things I cannot change. I need to stop trying to control everything and make it perfect. I need to worry less about what other people think. I need to stop worrying about the future, worrying about money. I need to allow and let go and stop pushing. So I think that is like some of the slow power messaging, right? That when we push so much, we like cut ourselves off from joy. We're like pushing towards these things we think are going to bring us joy, but the pushing in and of itself blocks the joy. It's future thinking. It's very goal driven. It's very, it can be very effective. I mean, hey, I pushed all my life and look how successful I am, right? It can be very effective. And also, it takes us away from the joy of the present moment. Okay, and that leads us into our next section, which is the last section, and I will end on time, don't worry. Which is, we've talked about inner versus outer, doing versus being, and now we're going to talk a little bit about hard versus easy, right? Hard versus easy, another dichotomy. So I'll tell you a story about a client yesterday, whose name happens to be Joy, which I think is so funny. It's besides the point, but her name is Joy. She told me a story. She's a CEO of a small startup, and she told me a story yesterday, and she tells this kind of thing a lot. Nobody on my team is doing their job. She said, I'm really angry about it, but I'm trying to stay positive. That was sort of how she started the call. And so we explored it a little bit, and she has a quick trigger to annoyance when she senses or feels that someone isn't doing their job. And if they're not turning in a work product on time, or it isn't, or it's somewhat incomplete, or it isn't good enough for her taste, it's just they're not doing their job. And she's also afraid of being too demanding, right? And she doesn't think the way she's responding to people is actually helping them do better. So she brought this to me, right? So she's stuck in this negative downward spiral of getting disappointed and then getting angry and then feeling bad about how she responded and then not actually motivating the team. So you can kind of see where this goes. So they're not getting motivated to do more work. She's stressed and unhappy, and it's just like, oh. So we did this exercise, which we're about to do together. And I'll just highlight for you kind of what happened for her. So she was able to see from this exercise, this going inward exercise we're going to do, that she was able to see that when she was with that part of herself that gets annoyed right away, that triggers to annoyance, and she was able to notice that it was a young part of herself like really young, like 7 or 8 years old, that felt like nobody listened to her. And that's like the image that came up. She's like, I was like 8 years old and nobody listens to me. And when she recognized this young part and turned towards it with loving attention, this inner child, and then she listened to it from her wise adult self, she was able to calm that inner child part and say, the way that she calmed it was, it's going to be okay. You're good enough, all the things, right? And then once wise adult joy calmed inner child joy, she felt supported. She felt more at ease in her body. She felt seen and heard and understood and resourced. And then from that place, we sort of went into, well, what's the opportunity now? What can you create from here, from this different, wiser, more effective place? And so you can imagine, I didn't get the follow-up, I'll get it next week, but you can imagine how from this place of self-love and feeling supported and trusting herself and her colleagues, she will suffer less because she'll respond from a better place. Her teammates and colleagues will feel less criticized and more motivated and inspired to do better work. Then she also won't feel bad that she was too demanding. And the cycle goes up. Less struggle, more ease, more success, right? From this tuning inward to what is this part of me that isn't aligned. Okay, so this part is fun and also not fun. I want you to envision a difficult person, situation, or challenge in your life. One that like maybe not your top 10, like you're like, it's the one that's gonna bring you to tears right now, but a difficult thing going on. Really think about what's hard about the situation, see it clearly, and bring it to your mind, and go ahead and close your eyes. And just like we did with the joy, now we're going to bring in the difficulty. Get the feeling of, see the situation, think about it, notice the details, feel the feeling of it in your body. And now dial up the sensation so you really feel it. And notice where you feel the energy in your body of this difficulty. Locate the center of the sensation. Is there tightness or tension in your head, neck, jaw, shoulders, chest, belly? Just notice where you feel it and be with it. Pause right there. Be with the sensation. Allow it to be there. Don't try to change anything. Just witness and breathe. It's okay to feel this way. Just allow it to be there. And if you're okay with letting it be there, we're going to explore the sensation just a little bit more deeply. Investigate it. So how big is this sensation in your body? Is it like the size of a grapefruit or a golf ball? Maybe bigger, maybe smaller. Get a sense of the size. Is there a temperature that you feel with it? Is it cold or hot or neutral, cool? See if you notice a color or a texture associated with this feeling. And just see if there is anything else you sense or notice about this feeling. Witness it, attune to it. Send it a little love, nurture it. after you send that nurturing energy to it, notice, has it moved from the original location? Has it expanded in size or shrunk? And maybe is there a different color, texture, or temperature with it? How has it shifted since you sent the loving energy to it? And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And in your journals, what did you notice? What was it originally? And how did it shift once you loved on it? And what, last question for now, maybe last question of the whole, well, there's one more question at the very end. What might be possible for you if you could attune inward like that and listen to your body on a moment to moment basis and be that wise adult, be that loving adult to that young part of yourself that is in a knot? What might you be able to create, do, be, feel? Okay, I'm going to save the shares on this piece till the end when we talk about our key takeaways, because I want to take 2 minutes. This part is not my favorite part, but I know Julie is already doing Choosing You. I'm not sure if Rochelle and Sabaya want it, but in case anyone else on the recording wants to know about the Choosing You program, which launches in 2 weeks, I'm going to read you a little bit about it, and then we're going to move into the closing. So the Choosing You program is an online group program, much like what we just did here today, where it's a small group, 10-ish people. We're going to start Thursday, May 9th, so 2 weeks from now. We meet twice a month-ish, and it culminates with a retreat in October that's optional, but you get first dibs on spots in that retreat if you do the Choosing You program. And the program is like this: it's experiential and it's in community. And each session will help you regulate your nervous system, help you get in touch with the deepest parts of yourself that need healing. We will explore topics like this and self-compassion, limiting beliefs, identifying your inner critic, establishing healthy boundaries, feeling your feelings, understanding your needs, communicating your feelings, needs, and desires. We'll do some shadow work, which we sort of touched on in the last exercise, where we bring back lost parts of ourselves and we nourish and nurture our inner child that didn't get what it needed, and we come back as the wise adult. We're going to do a lot of that. We're going to explore the power of belonging in community and belonging in a group. We're going to discuss trauma healing, vagus nerve, polyvagal practices, ritual. We're going to talk about awe and sleep and dreams and more. And I literally just got the chills because I'm so excited about it. It's the next version. It's just the culmination. Each year it gets better and better. I've done Choosing You before, but this is like next level deep, next level in terms of embodiment practices. And I just want to say, it's so validating to be in a group of like-minded women who have similar struggles. Just hearing other people's stories and what they're going through, and also how they've solved it. We create this alchemy of healing together. You'll feel seen and heard and understood in ways that one-on-one therapy doesn't quite do. It's not to replace it, but it's different. It's very there's a magic that happens in community in this way. And if you're weary of group work, I totally get it. I used to be. I have a secret for you. Group work never used to work for me. And in recent years, I've really not just realized how much I love being in groups, but how much I love teaching groups because of the alchemy of the community, and that you can't get in any other way. And it's allowed me to experience a supportive energy that I never thought was available to me before. Both as the leader and as the participant. So I want this for you too. So if you want it, I think Julia's doing it, but if you want it, let me know. I'll reach out, send you the details, and we start in 2 weeks. That's my minute there. And now I want to read you a poem that I love. It's called The Most Important Thing. And it's by Julia Fehrenbacher. I am making a home inside myself, a shelter of kindness where everything is forgiven, everything allowed, a quiet patch of sunlight to stretch out without hurry, where all that has been banished and buried is welcomed, spoken, listened to, and released. A fiercely friendly place that I can claim as my very own. I am throwing my arms wide open to the whole of myself, especially the fearful, fault-finding, falling apart, unfinished parts, knowing every seed and weed, every drop of rain has made the soil richer. I will light a candle, pour a hot cup of tea, gather around the warmth of my own blazing fire. I will howl if I want to, knowing this flame can burn through any perceived problem, any prescribed perfectionism, any lying limitation, and every heavy thing. I am making a home inside myself where grace blooms in grand and glorious abundance, a shelter of kindness that grows all the truest things. I whisper hallelujah to the friendly sky. Watch now as I burst into blossom. In your journals, last question. What is your key takeaway from today? What is your key takeaway from today? Who wants to start? I want to hear everybody's voice as we close.
So, so the visualization of the hard thing and recognizing it, like that is something I've done a bunch of times with you, Kelsey, and every time it's so powerful. And yet I still have not really don't do it on my own very much. So it was a really big unlock. Like it just like I was like, wow, this is so effective for me. So my big takeaway from today is just to like now I know that practice, right? Like to really try to bring it into my reality. Um yeah.
Beautiful. Sometimes we need to hear these things and do these things a few times before we realize
Yeah.
it's right here, right? That you just spoke the truth of what this whole workshop is about. Like you can regulate and nourish your nervous system on a moment to moment basis without doing anything out there. It's all right here. All right here. That's beautiful, Julia. I'm so glad it gotcha. And that you're going to do the program. So we'll do a lot more of it too.
Right.
Rochelle.
So similarly, I wrote down more intentional internal time because it's not just about like, laying on the couch or like that. I mean, it could be that too, but I do think these reminders of these tools too are just super helpful. Like I had the last exercise we did too. I even had an aha after, actually, as we were talking later. I was like, oh my God. Like, do you know what like it's just so my dog's now barking at me. I'm sorry if you can hear her. But yes, so just remembering that it was like it's all in there. It's all there. You just, you prompted with some questions and an exercise and you have the answers. And so just that more intentional internal time.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yay. Beautiful. And I want to hear your aha if anyone wants to stay on after, but I want to get Sabaya's before we close.
Yeah, my aha is very much how much I didn't realize that I was kind of getting through things or I had to do them. And if I just take that moment or however long it is, like with practice of, I already meditate, but it's like for work or something. And so this is like, hey, just even for, doing the dishes, if I just check in with myself first, why can't I enjoy that? Why does it have to be this thing that's like, oh, get through it?
Right.
Like there's all these details I appreciate in nature. It's like, what's wrong with all the details I fill my life with? And can I have that kind of presence?
Presence. Can I have that kind of presence? That's my hope for you, that you all have that kind of presence so that you can feel the joy in the present moment and the courage from that regulated place to create the life that you want, to take the risks, to build the thing, or just to do nothing, but to build the life you want your way. Thank you so much for coming. I had so much fun teaching this today. I felt so present and had so much joy. And of course, I'll see you again, I'm sure. I know Sabaya, I'm going to do a session with you. Julia, we're going to do Choosing You. Rochelle, I'm going to see you soon. And both Sabaya and Rochelle, if you are interested in the Choosing You program, you will also let me know, I hope.